What are the omens in your life? Yesterday we had a beautiful event at our property, and as I was working very early in the morning to prepare, putting out canopies and chairs and tables, I went into the teepee, and right as I was going in, this amazingly large hawk that was sitting on top of the poles that that hold the teepee together just took off, and that was amazing. I've never seen a hawk that close to me. And then right after he took off, 4 sandhill cranes flew right over the same area of our property. And then right after they disappeared, 9 geese, Canadian geese, flew over. So I thought, wow, this is going to be a special day. And then a little bit later, as I was working, a skunk came on our property and hid away in one of the guilds. So I had to go around the backyard because I didn't want to incite him to do anything special. So Mona and I looked up in this book on animal speak by Ted Andrews, is that his name? What skunks represent, and it was actually pretty profound. It was amazing. So what are the omens in your life? What are the signals? What are the signs of the times of what's going on with you that nature, that God, that your own higher self, maybe your subconscious is speaking to you about, so that you can live peacefully, harmoniously, joyfully, reverently, holily, and fulfill that part of your mission which today brings. So what I see from the Divine Director to augment what he shared yesterday is that our divine plan is one whole. However, each day there's a little segment of it that we are called to objectify, to outpicture. And if we do our work every day, just a little bit each day, and objectify something beautiful of that divine design that he spoke about, then ultimately we'll come to that point in our life where we will have fulfilled our entire divine plan as we planned it with God before we incarnated. So the signs that we receive sometimes are obvious and sometimes are a little subtle or maybe even mysterious. Yet when we are listening, when we're observant, when we're sensitive, I believe that we will receive these little special messages, intuitive thoughts, feelings, understandings, even rays of divine knowledge and wisdom and revelations that are part of the natural unfoldment of our lives. Live to the glory of God, where we can be co-creators par excellence and take part in this beautiful alchemy of what our individual divine life is and that portion of the whole that we are a part of, the whole of the divine life of all created beings and all those in the universal or white brotherhood, brother sisterhood, and as a part of the legacy of the traditions that we may be part of, the lineages, the spiritual lineages that we're part of, and a part of just our family and our community. So to celebrate our community each week in these services, we bring our best to the table, to the altar, to the place where we alter life through the transformative changes that we invoke through our prayers, meditations, and our conscious singing and our emanations. God relies on us as we rely on God. The more we rely on God to emanate through us the living light of the presence, the more God can rely on us because we're entrusted with greater light. So as we rely on God, we invoke light, and through that light that we bear, that we share, that we work with and collaborate with, then we're empowered more and more. We have greater resources of divine energy, gifts of the Spirit to utilize. And then when we utilize them righteously, judiciously, reverently, holily, God can trust us and then entrust us with more. So do you feel that you are emanating more light in your life than at any time previously in your life?
Yes.
Do you feel that you are making progress in your spiritual life each day, each week, even each hour?
Yes.
So how does that look and feel to you? It's something that you can assess, you can contemplate. And before you retire at night, if you just take a few moments to remember, recall what you did during the day, you can think of all the good that you've done, all the love that you shared, all the creativity that you've engaged in, and then celebrate it and then seal it. Celebrate it and seal it. And lock it into your causal body, your memory body, even deep into the superconscious. Now, we could lock it into the subconscious, and it's already locked in there. Yet, when we celebrate it and revel in it in a good way, it locks it into the superconscious self, which is part and parcel to our causal body, which is our body of virtue. And there it's stored permanently as a record, an akashic record of what we've done of good and of beauty and of harmony and peace. So to celebrate our victories is to really highlight them for a moment. And then as we highlight them and we are joyful in that highlighting, it locks in like an engram of energy so that they can always be recalled later if necessary. Maybe we're going through a tough time. If we can recall all these positive, wonderful things we've done, then the force can't manipulate our minds or our memories and make us feel depressed, unenergetic, not good enough. We get down on ourselves when certain cycles are happening, and we become our own worst enemy if we criticize or condemn ourselves, right? So lock in the positive memories, the positive things and the wonderful things that have happened and the events that have happened and the magic that happens between you and family members and your loved ones. Lock that in, celebrate it, seal it, and then you can always recall it later because it will have this sheen, it will have this energy. It's still alive within your causal body. It's still a living essence of what you've done, what you've created, what you've nurtured, what you've discovered, what you've unfolded, right? So I think this is important for us because at times all of us can get a little depressed and feeling not our best, not our best, right? And we require a boost, we require a pickup, we require kind of a jolt sometimes. Yet it doesn't have to come from outside of us. It can come just from our memory body when we lock into our causal body, our body of virtue, and recall the good that we have done. And when others have celebrated what we've done, when we've been happy with what we've created, when we've maybe created a poem, a song, a story, we've done a good deed for someone or for a number of people, all these things are important. And when we have our life review after this life, we will see all these beautiful things. They'll be brought back to our memory. So obviously they're living realities that already exist and will continue to exist, and they will be brought back to memory when we make our transition. So we may as well highlight them so that when we see them again, we can smile, we can give praise to God. Yes, by God's grace, I did that. I helped this person, I did this. And it gives us surcease from any pain, suffering, distress, anxiety about anything. So would anyone like to comment on this dynamic of how to give ourselves a self-boost, and of how you've done it, maybe what you've done that has helped you with your psychology? We just did this whole alchemy of working in our psychology, and I tell you, every time I do that, something comes up in my world where I remember something, or I think, okay, I'm going to work on this, or I'm going to do better at that, right? Every time we give that rosary or that prayer, I always find something that I can fine-tune in my world that requires a little bit of a change, transformation, or a decision to be better or to make the wise choices. So who would like to share something that either happened to you or an example in your life? Go ahead, Sheridan.
Well, I felt the veil very thin yesterday. And
You felt thin?
I felt the veil.
Oh, the veil. Okay. The veil.
The veil very thin. And I heard, okay, 11th house Leo, gather your community together and celebrate. And so I wanted to have a potluck, Thanksgiving potluck for a Golden Age Village, friends that we're making. And that's the fulfillment for me of my my divine plan, really, is community. So get out there and do it.
Beautiful. Good. So Thanksgiving with the people at Glastonbury and Golden Age Village.
Yeah. And it just gave me the motivation to do it. And I knew right away what to do. And as far as Glastonbury, they're having a picnic on the 14th. So.
At GAV.
What?
At GAV.
At GAV.
Yeah, on the green in Golden Age Village.
Oh, wonderful.
We're doing it together for the first time.
Good. Good.
Yeah, so I made a point to go to that too, because I lived in in GLA 10 years ago, and I have a lot of friends that I haven't re-met yet. So it's just, for me, it's just about getting out there and loving people.
Loving people. Great.
And so yesterday it was really cool for me. I just love that tour. And I especially love the peanut butter stuffed celery sticks with raisins.
Ants on a log, is that what they call it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ants on a log.
Okay, cool. Well, there's one of Mona's board members was in the kitchen, just kept making them because
Yeah.
so many people loved them. And, Okay, Mona has something to share.
So everybody knows that we have a permaculture demonstration site for Paradise Permaculture, and I tell my board that the most important thing about what we're doing, yes, we're raising food, for the community and teaching, how to create edible foodscapes and working towards food sustainability, although the background and what I tell the board is the most important thing is community and bringing people together. And I see it being a space of love, like Anastasia says, and then also where people can come together and be in the divine presence. And that's what is underneath everything. And that happened yesterday. We had 85 people, not including any of us, that were working there. And people didn't leave. They stayed. Nora and her daughter, they were there for 5 hours. And we just visited, and it was just absolutely lovely. So relating this back to what the divine director was saying earlier with the one-pointedness, David had mentioned he saw some animals on the property, especially the skunk. And he saw the skunk the other day, too. So we had read about it, and I wanted to share with him how important the skunk is in the whole ecosystem, because the skunk actually catches mice. And we don't want to catch that skunk in a live trap, so we're not going to set any more live traps. But it's just really important, each piece. And then with that one pointedness that we really need to keep in life, to me, that is really extremely important for me, because an example of negative thinking coming in was right before the event we had. I had gotten up and I saw David. He had been outside working, and he said their skunk was here. And this is after reading how lovely the skunk is. And I immediately thought, oh, great, the skunk is in the guild. The people are going to the guild. They're going to pick their fruit off the tree, the plums. This could be a real problem. Somebody could get sprayed. We could, the whole event could close down. And so I started thinking all these terrible thoughts, and I thought, no, I am going to hold the vision that I have for the property, and everything went really well. But one of my other negative thoughts was, as a teacher, a lot of times you have accidents around the full moon, and the full moon is today. And so we were under that energy yesterday too. So there was a lot that could have gone wrong and a lot of problems. But coming back to what the divine director said about that one pointedness and holding that vision is a choice that I can make every single moment of the day. And being human, and I'm here on earth, and with those thoughts, that is the most uplifting thing, because it's like reconnecting. And I just feel it's important.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else? Dean Anderson.
Just being. Just accepting my extant reality in God. And being content with that as a way of just being in the present now is the reality that God gives me to experience right here and now. And realizing, hey, it ain't half bad. It's pretty okay, and being grateful for that. And that starts to, and then I start to feel this sort of bliss building of just gratitude and joy for God, gratitude and joy for my very existence, gratitude and joy, that I'm as good as I am right now, and that God has helped me get to this place, and being grateful to be here, to be alive, to be, practically pain-free, and all the blessings, and have opportunity to express myself creatively in music that I've been given, and so forth. And so, a lot to be grateful for. And a way of, this is sort of my simple pedestrian way of sort of placing myself in a position of receptivity to divine presence, so that I can, and then just focusing on my presence and not requiring some outer, artificial stimulus or reason or rationale to try to make myself happy, or try to I'm just happy to be and to experience God the way I'm experiencing him, her right now, as it is. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sounds like Christopher. Okay. Terry Zimkowski.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank the whole community for praying for our grandson, Caden James Clark. It seems like his GI tract has gotten rid of the block that was there, but he still has fluid in his lungs, and they have him on oxygen, and they want to keep him in the hospital for another week. So, for all of the mothers who understand how that might feel to be going through postpartum and not even having your baby with you, please pray for my daughter, Magda Christine Clark, and keep visualizing. I'm so grateful for all the visualizations and prayers and people who have responded to us. And keep visualizing angels around him and his lungs clear and his GI tract clear, and that he's home in her arms again. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see it right now. Beautiful little baby. Okay, anybody else? I have a little story with Stephen. Mona and I found this something for our upcoming podcasts for a display, and there was one in Livingston that was like $1,300. We didn't want to spend that, so Mona found it online, 2 of them for less than $100, right? But we had to put it together, and I started with Stephen, but then I had to go home because I had soul-raising sessions and meetings. Stephen put it all together by himself, and we couldn't figure out how to do it at the beginning. We just couldn't figure it out. I thought, what in the heck is going on? Well, I came in today, it's all done. So thank you, Stephen. And they're going to look good. Okay, last chance. Are there any sharings online, Boyd?
Yeah, Geraldine Gower says, I am trusting in my basic goodness and trusting in the basic good of others.
Beautiful. Thank you, Geraldine. Oh, Nancy Locke has something to share.
So regarding what was said about if ever we're feeling kind of down or annoyed with ourselves for something, I feel one of the things that I've learned that's really helped and I wanted to share is to give ourselves grace. And just to oftentimes we do extend grace to others and we forgive them, yet it's very important that we give ourselves grace and just accept that, okay, I'm going to move on. That was an opportunity to learn something. What did I learn? And just being in that grace and knowing that God gives us grace is a really wonderful way to be able to move on from whatever may happen. So.
Great, thank you.